I'm Huon Hooke, and this is The Real Review, and today I'm talking to Brendan Hawker, who is the senior winemaker at Yering Station Winery in the Yarra Valley, which is one of The Real Review's top wineries of 2021 from Australia. So welcome, Brendan. Good to meet you and talk with you.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
And where are you sitting? Are you in somewhere in that magnificent winery in the Yarra Valley?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sitting in, it's called the DeVoe room. This is a private dining room we have as a bit of an annex to our restaurant here, the wine bar at Yering Station. The background, the nice raw stone is a little bit nicer than the background in my office down in the depths of the bowels of the winery. So I thought I'd move up here.
So you're fairly new as the chief winemaker at Yering Station, but you've worked, 8 or 9 vintages there in total?
Yeah, that's right. 9 of the last 13 years last 13 vintages have been here with Yering. But yeah, this is correct. 2021 is my first year as in the big chair.
The first of my little list of Dorothy Dix questions is, if there's one thing that you do at Yering Station that explains the high quality of the wine, what would that be?
Well, I don't know if it's any one thing that we do. I think certainly the main drive for our quality is certainly our vineyards. So we have about 250 acres of vines that we own and farm across 5 different sites. And then we have a couple of growers that we've been buying fruit from for quite a long time. And I think the quality of all these different sites and all their subtle differences enables us to piece these blends that we're so fond of and that work so well together. So really, I think definitely our vineyards are the main driver of our quality, for sure.
And the history of Yering Station goes back to the 19th century, doesn't it? And to the first iteration of the Yarra Valley.
Yeah, that's right. We are the site of the first vineyard planted in Victoria, which was planted back in 1838 by the Ryrie brothers, some Scottish drovers moving cattle overland to sale here in Melbourne, and they established a station, I think, of some 43,000 acres, and the site here where we are is where they planted a small vineyard. I mean, that was just certainly the beginnings of it, but it wasn't until the De Castellas, Paul De Castella, a Swiss immigrant, acquired the property and then began to develop it into a vineyard that achieved quite a lot of commercial success in the late 19th century.
Yes, and then of course the Yarra went through that period of being mainly grazing country between, I guess, the Depression and then the early 60s, when the next generation of winemakers moved in and started planting, and Yering was revived, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Yering's rebirth probably began or the vineyard at least anyway, in the 80s was when that would have been first replanted again. I think the oldest vineyard we have on site here is our old block Pinot, which is from 88. But then the current iteration here is when the Rathbone family acquired the property in 1995 and then began developing it and planting out the vineyards through 96. And then, of course, building the modern winery and restaurant, and then revitalising the old cellar door, our cellar door, which was the old winery back from the 1850s.
Another one for you, Brendan, is that a lot of winemakers have a favourite wine or a benchmark wine or a wine that really influenced them in some way that they never quite, it's always there in the back of your mind, and sometimes you're striving to make wines of that style. Do you have any benchmark wines that really influenced you above all others?
Yeah, I think, one wine that I certainly always go out of my way to get a bottle of every year, particularly for special occasions around and Christmas, is Krug. I'm a huge champagne fan, and that for me is a benchmark. And I think it really comes down to the blending that goes on and how using blending to build all this insane levels of complexity, but still being incredibly fresh. So I like to, that can be in the back of my mind when we're trying to piece together our entry level blends or our premium wines. Something always about being able to create something where the the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I think I find that pretty inspiring.
Yeah, and of course, Yering Station is not just about fantastically wonderful, expensive wines. Some very good wines under the Village label as well. Really good value for money wines, I think. Are they the ones that are the most challenging to blend?
Well, I've come to the more I've been blending these wines, the more I think we're kind of beginning to split them, not so much based on their quality or which is more suitable for a more expensive bottle. But I'm finding, like for Chardonnay, for instance, we really look for the parcels that have a lot more citrus, vibrant and purity to them, but also with a creamy texture. Whereas things for like our estate range, I'll look for a bit more power through whitestone fruits and nectarines, peach, and then with a much finer, more powerful acid focus as well. So I kind of find the blends do fall out nicely in that sort of range when we can pick and choose. But then, of course, there are always blocks that might swing either way, where we have to do the fine tooth combing through finding the gem barrels.
Of all the wines you make, do you have a personal favourite?
That's a hard question. Well, I think, though, one thing I'm always excited about. I mean, I'm always excited about all the wines we make, but I think Chardonnay and really trying to get the most nuance that we can expressed in Chardonnay is challenging and very rewarding.
Well, Brendan, thanks very much for your time. It's been great talking to you. Congratulations on being one of our top wineries. Brendan Hooke, Chief Winemaker, Yering Station Winery. Thank you.
Thank you.